Please welcome the 12th Doctor, a hero for a whole new generation. It's... Peter Capaldi!
Peter Capaldi!
It's Peter Capaldi!
How long did you have to keep it as a secret? And how hard was it?
It was very hard to keep it a secret because Stephen gave me the most wonderful gift that I wanted to scream and shout and tell everyone. But when they told me I was in the Czech Republic and I was working on a job and I couldn't tell anyone in the set, so I had to leave. Go into a little corner and go. I would walk around going, I'm Doctor Who, I'm Doctor Who, I'm Doctor Who. And each day I would wake up and go, I'm still Doctor Who. And I would walk around the streets in Prague, and I'd be going, I couldn't tell anyone.
Was there any hesitation?
No hesitation, no.
Why did you take this role?
You know, it's apart from the fact that it's in the UK, an iconic and famous role. When I was a little kid, my favourite show was Doctor Who, and I used to write to the actor who played Doctor Who, and he changed a few times when I was young, but they would send me back autographed pictures.
Really?
And I thought the show was the most amazing thing. And one day I got a package through the mail, and it was a script. Can you imagine anyone doing this? No, this would never happen. A producer of Doctor Who sent me a script for a forthcoming episode, and I had never seen a script. I didn't know there was such a thing as a script, that a TV show was generated from this material. And for me, it became one of the things that made me want to become an actor and become part of this world, because suddenly someone was showing me how it was made. So for me to find myself being offered this role that was key in bringing me into the business in the first place was just a remarkable situation. It was like serendipity. It was like fate, you know? So I had to do it.
Peter Capaldi, new Doctor Who. I had no idea. Your career is extraordinary. So, let's start with Doctor Who. So, every Doctor Who always says, oh, I was a fan when I was a kid growing up. This man, I mean, you were beyond a fan.
Oh, God.
I know, because none of this would have come out.
None of this would have come out. My total geekness, my total anorakness as a child, as a teenager, would have been left to...
No, the good thing is, your letters...
Oh,
no. There's a letter... No, we don't have... No, there was a very sweet letter you sent to the Radio Times, which we won't read that one out. That was just you saying how much you like the Doctor Who special. No, there's this weird thing, right? So there's a Doctor Who fan club, and the guy ran that, Keith Miller, he put... This is volume 1. You can imagine the size of his anorak. This is volume 1 of the... This isn't the story of the Doctor Who. This is the story of the fan club, volume 1. So Peter decided he was... no, there was a fan club, and Peter decided he should be the head of the fan club. So he wrote to Sarah Newman at the Doctor Who office. This is proper. This is a woman who really works at the BBC.
I can't even remember that.
Oh, no.
How old were you when this...
Oh, don't even... 21.
This is the reply. This is the reply to you.
Okay.
So, dear Peter, thank you for your letter. Firstly, the pictures aren't ready yet. And secondly, I'm afraid we have an official Doctor Who fan club secretary. I'm passing your letter on to him, and I expect he will send you a newsletter himself. He wasn't Sarah Newman. See, that's all very nice.
Right.
That's very nice.
Right.
Then in another letter, to the guy who is the secretary of the fan club, she writes, "No, no, no, you're not by any means worse than Peter C." I had a very sad letter back from him today. I think I'd better write and apologise. I think it's the end, and I wish the Daleks or someone would exterminate him or something to that effect. She works for the BBC!
Where is she now?
She's here tonight!
And I'm Doctor Who.
Yeah. Take that!
How did you get Pompeii? And at one point, when did you start to get the early warnings of, hey, they want you to come back in for another part?
When Doctor Who came back on TV, I was really excited because I loved the show, but I didn't know anybody who was involved with it, and I didn't expect to ever be in it. And then I got a call saying, they've offered you a role in Doctor Who. And I was like to my agent, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And my wife said, no, you've got to be a professional actor, read the script and see what it's like. So I had to be a professional actor and read the script. Thought, oh no, this is great, I want to do this. And so went off down to Cardiff with David Tennant, who was absolutely fabulous to me. And had a great time being in the Files of Pompeii, and never for a moment thought that there would be out of anything more to do with Doctor Who.
You checked that off the bucket list, and it was like...
I was just so excited to be there to see the TARDIS and all of that stuff. And then a couple of years passed, and Matt came along, and he was fantastic. I loved watching him. Then I began to hear sort of whispers that he was leaving, and I was sort of just very interested to know who they were going to cast. And I was reading the newspapers, and they would say this guy, and this guy, and this person, and this girl, and whatever. And I thought, well, it'll be fantastic to see who they're going to get. Slightly miffed that my name was never, ever there. But I thought, well, you know, I'm too old, really. Probably because they seem to just have young people all the time. And then Mark Gatiss was making An Adventure in Space and Time, which was his documentary, which was the drama he made, great film, about the original Doctor Who, William Hartnell. And he said, he knew I was a big fan, so he said, do you want to come down to the set and see what we've got here? I said, I'd love to. Because they had an old-fashioned TARDIS, and they had old Daleks and stuff there, and I thought, this is great. And I got my photograph taken with David Bradley, who was playing William Hartnell. And I said to Mark, thanks for letting me get my picture taken with Doctor Who, because when I was growing up, William Hartnell was Doctor Who. And Mark said to me quietly, just in conversation, he said, how do you think you would feel about being Doctor Who? And I thought, that's an odd question. But I thought, well, I said, well, I'm sure that would be great, but I'm sure that that boat has sailed. And he said, I'm not sure. I don't know what they're thinking about. And then we were in this old TARDIS, and I said, can I get my picture taken next to the old TARDIS? And he said, yeah, and I posed next to the TARDIS. But suddenly there was like 50 people taking photographs of me. And I should have sort of cottoned on then. But I realized it's only recently that Mark's told me, yeah, they were just checking me out to see whether or not I was interested before they approached me. Was I interested? But you know, it's a big change in your life, so you have to consider your family and consider, you know, your relations and how it's going to affect everyone. So you have to talk about it, you know, for about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Stepping from the fanboy perspective onto the set for the first time. I mean, when they called you and said, Peter, we want you to be the next Doctor Who, what did you think? Did you think it was a prank call, or did you think it was meant to be?
I did laugh. I laughed for about 20 minutes before I could say anything, because it seemed such a beautifully absurd idea. And I had a strange kind of... I just sort of felt that it was all going to happen. And they don't phone you and say, you're Doctor Who now.
Would be nice.
They
though.
phone you and say, how would you feel about being the new Doctor Who? Which is almost as good. And after I stopped laughing, I had to say, because it was my agent calling, I said, well, what does that mean? How would you feel about being the new Doctor Who? I said, well, I'd like to talk to you about it. Oh, okay, so I've got to jump through all these hoops now. But I didn't care. I'd so enjoyed getting that phone call, and I'd so enjoyed entertaining the idea that somebody might think I could be Doctor Who, that I thought, even if I don't get this part, I will have enjoyed that phone call.
You're in the Czech Republic when you find out. What's that sweet story about?
The story is that it's very secret when you become Doctor Who, because there's still Matt Smith, who is wonderful, he was still being Doctor Who, so they keep it a secret when there's a new Doctor Who. But I knew I was cast, but I wasn't allowed to tell anybody, and I happened to be, being Cardinal Richelieu in the Musketeers in the Czech Republic, and we moved. We were filming, and then we moved to the north of the Czech Republic to a place called Moravia, to a very small town there, and we were filming this scene. And I was in all my resplendent kind of Richelieu dark cloak and stuff like this. And there was a little lad who was playing a page boy. And he came in and started talking to me, and he couldn't speak English very well. He said, I love you as Doctor Who. You love me as Doctor Who? And he said, yeah, I love you as Doctor... I thought, how can he know here? I can't even tell anybody on the production. And he said, I loved you in the episode about Pompeii. And what he was saying was, he loved me in an episode of Doctor Who, because I had been in an episode with David Tennant playing a character in Pompeii. I said, do you like Doctor Who? He said, I love it. He said, I'm a Whovian. And I thought, I've stumbled across the only person in the Czech Republic who knows this show, and he loves it, and he's standing next to the new Doctor Who. Oh. And he doesn't know.
Did you say?
Yeah, I was going to say, did you tell?
No, I said nothing. I said, have you got a picture? Have you got a phone with a camera? He said, I haven't got it on me. I said, go and get a camera. You should have your picture taken with me.
That is so sweet.
He wasn't very interested in doing that.
And didn't you go... Was it one of those shops you went to the next day?
Denzel charmingly doesn't know anything at all about Doctor Who and was asking me what the TARDIS was.
Or what is it?
TARDIS.
It sounds wrong when you say it.
TARDIS.
But the day after I was announced as Doctor Who, which is sort of quite a big deal in this country, I went to buy a light bulb, because a light bulb had obviously gone wrong in my house. And I went into, there was an old hardware store, like the old, the 4 candles kind of sketch?
Oh, yes.
One of those ones. I went in there to buy this light bulb, and a bloke came out from behind the counter with a sink plunger stuck to his head like that. He said, I sold it.
This is your very first Comic-Con. You haven't been to one of these before.
No, it's cosmic.
How do you feel? There are about 7,000 people here who came out to see. You can't even see the back.
I've never been in front of 7,000 people before in my life. I can't hear them all, though, properly. I can't hear you at the back. All those years in pantomime. I love when the show came back. I absolutely loved the show, and I said to my daughter, this is Doctor Who. You're going to watch this whether you like it or not. And we sat down and we loved it, and I'd watch it every week. And I loved Chris Eccleston and David and eventually Matt. And then while David was Doctor Who, they sent me a script, and Russell T. Davies offered me a part. And I said, I'll do it. And my wife said, you should really read it, first of all, just to be professional. And she said, but you're a professional actor of some standing. You've got to read it, first of all, and see that as a part that you should play. I went, oh, wow, I better read it, I thought. And I did. And I went, and David was wonderful and lovely, and Karen was in that episode also. But I sort of thought that was the only contact I would have with the show, and I was very thrilled with that. I was delighted. I would have done any part they asked me to do. I would have. I almost wish I hadn't done that. I wish I'd hung out because I wanted to be a monster or an evil person or something, but they cast me as a nice person. So that was a wonderful experience to go and do it and to see the TARDIS. And I was like I said to David, because we were on the set and my character had bought the TARDIS in the market, but I couldn't see it on the set. I said, where's the TARDIS? Where's the TARDIS? And he said, come here, I'll show you it. And he pulled this curtain back, and there was the police box, and I got quite teary. Oh, there it is, I touched it. TARDIS.
Did you talk to any of the Doctor actors prior to your first day? I mean, to get...
Yeah, I spoke to Matt. I took Matt to lunch, and he arrived... Yeah, lunch again, yes.
What did you have? Is there anything that we need to know about?
I can't remember what we had. I think we had soup with dumplings, I think. But he arrived with crutches. He came hobbling in with crutches. And I said, what happened to you? And he said, this show, mate, this show. And I thought, God,
I love your impression of Matt. It's such a Cockney as well.
I know, it doesn't sound anything like him.
This show, mate.
I know, I just try and get away with it, as I have my whole career. Yeah, I thought, God, you know, you're like 100 years younger than me, and you're on crutches from the physical challenge of Doctor Who. So I thought, well, I better eat my soup and dumplings to build myself up. But he was great, and he is, you know, he's a great help, and David's been a great help. David, we went out for I mean, I know David already, because I'd worked with him, obviously, I knew him from Scotland, which is quite a small place. And David sent me, before it all started, David sent me an email saying, is it true what I'm hearing? And I said, well, it might be true. So he decided, for reasons best known to himself, to invite me for coffee in Soho House, where the two of us could be seen in a corner.
Yeah. Yes, a word about discretion.
But he's been great. No, both of them have been terrific, you know.
Fantastic thing is they've both been at the heart of this. You know, the show can be quite tough to make. It's a fabulous job, but you suddenly are confronted by, I mean, for instance, when we went to the read-through, I thought, you know, there was like 250 people there or something. I didn't know who all these people were and what they all did. So trying to figure out and find your way through this maze can be quite difficult. Jen has been a great help, Stephen's always great help, and Brian, the executive producer. But David and Matt know all the personnel, they know what it feels like to be in this position. It's a very small and rather exclusive club. So at our general annual meetings, we have discussions. Not many people will. Peter David has been lovely too.
When Matt took it over, he got a letter from David full of advice. He would never tell anyone what was in the letter. So this inter-doctor conversation is entirely private. Don't imagine us. I'd love to find out.
I know. Let's fire. How did it feel to speak the words, I'm the Doctor, for the first time?
It wasn't the first time.
Of course.
I spent a few years in my bedroom as a youngster, saying those lines into the mirror. It was absolutely fabulous. It was just an exciting, quite sort of odd moment, because the whole episode, that last scene is slightly different from the rest of the episode. And I think that's sort of the moment when we see the Doctor as he's going to be, as he's sort of found himself again. I don't know where he's been ranging around in time and space, but he's certainly gone to a nice tailor and got a nice jacket and a nice shirt and all that. But it was very, very satisfying.
Let's talk about the episode then, Deep Breath. We've seen your first episode after a year of secrecy and anticipation, Peter. What were the highlights of filming that episode for you? Loving the stunts, by the way. Nice stunt work.
I'm good at it. It's every day was a highlight for me. I mean, obviously you can pick moments where you can say, you know, the first time you step out of the TARDIS. I mean, all that stuff on the beach was on the very first day that we shot. And it is a little nerve-wracking because you get into, you know, I'm sure I'm not spoiling anything to tell you that the TARDIS isn't actually big inside. And it is just really big, you know, it's really like just a big wardrobe that your dad's got you painted blue on the outside. And when you go inside and you shut the door, it's pitch black. But you're there with Jenna, who you don't really know very well. As well. And also a prop bloke who you've never met before in your life with a smoke gun. As well. And the smoke gun's firing away. And then you just comes along and you've got to open the door and be Doctor Who. So that's a pretty special moment. Operating the TARDIS for the first time is very special. Again, slightly irritating when people keep telling you it's that switch, it's that switch. I know which switch. to pull. Also, I mean, not in that episode, but the first time you have a scene with a Dalek.
Yes.
Amazing.
What was your first day like on the set?
Well, I had two first days. I had the first day, which was the regeneration, which was with Matt, who was absolutely lovely, and I couldn't have wished for a kinder or more welcoming entrance into the world of Doctor Who. Matt really sort of looked after me on that day, which was so kind of him. But then I didn't do anything for like 4 months. I was Doctor Who, but we weren't.
Do they pay you during that period, or?
They don't even pay you for the. They didn't pay me for the regeneration day. This is true. They said we don't do that. I've never been paid for that day's work. That's absolutely true.
As a British person familiar with what we call Auntie, which is the BBC, I entirely believe that.
It's absolutely true. So it was months and months and months and months of. But there's this enormous gap between these 2 days. That's the worst thing, is you have these months and months and months of waiting to be. You're the new Doctor Who, and everyone, oh, you're the new Doctor Who. Oh, there's the new Doctor Who, and how's it going? I haven't done anything. Yeah, I just woke up. Matt just changed into me, and here I am. And so there was months to wait, and we did it. The very first thing I had to do was come out of the TARDIS. Because at the start of Deep Breath, the TARDIS is dropped on the bank of the Thames. It's covered in dinosaur saliva. I hope it's saliva. And I have to come out of it. It's scary because you know you've got to come out as Doctor Who. But this is the thing that always happens when you play Doctor Who. They put you in the TARDIS, and so for a moment you get this little intimate, quiet space when you're on your own. And so like a kind of car accident, the whole thing flashes through your head. You think, oh, can I do this? I don't know what to do. How am I going to say this? What's it going to be like? Might it all be a disaster? And then you just say, oh, just get on with it. And you just pop your head out and get on with it.
Shush.
Doctor?
It was nerve-wracking. And also because there's, 120 people standing around who you don't know. And I'm sure everyone's going to say to them, what's the new Doctor Who like? Oh, it's all right. He looks a bit funny. He's not funny, but he looks funny. And, he garbles a bit. We can't understand what he says, and he gets too excited and blah, blah. Bit of a geek, So you don't know how it's going to go. But you sort of can't, you could be like that every day. Every day, there's a reminder of the size of the show and the scale of it. And you must not go there. You just must not engage with, you just mustn't look down. You just look ahead and just get on with what you're doing. Because if you look down and begin to worry about it, it will overcome you.
So, Peter, what's it like, this incredible reception you have here?
It's absolutely wonderful. It's delightful. I haven't really faced the fans en masse, so this is the first time. Well, it's a pleasure. It's such a nice bunch, and it's such a great to see that the show has such loyalty and support and brings such joy into the world. I hope it continues to do so.
Peter, it's been over a year since you were revealed as a doctor. How has your life changed since then?
I walk into a room and 2,000 people cheer. This is not business as usual.
First of all, it's wonderful to look out the window of the plane and see South Korea, see somewhere that looks so different. I've never been here before. And then arriving at the airport to find this large group of very vocal, enthusiastic fans who seem to be thrilled to see us.
How has it been, the tour?
Like we're in a band. But
This
with
is-
Doctor Who music.
This is really like a little rock and roll. We get to wear our shades and arrive at the airport, and fans scream at us. We throw television sets out of the hotel windows, empty the minibars. It's great, it's fabulous, absolutely.
How is it being involved with a programme that has this times about 10 million that are absolutely and utterly obsessed with it? How has that changed your already wonderful lives?
Well, it's delightful, really. I mean, it's what happens is if you have the great privilege, as I do, of playing this character that is loved by so many people, you become the focus for all that the affection. And really, what's happened to me is I've ridden the wave that has been created by Chris Eccleston and David Tennant and Matt Smith. You know, those are the guys with Stephen and Russell who have made the show so successful abroad. And so suddenly you find yourself going to countries where literally millions of people are crazy about this show that you always thought was yours and was very British and was very small. And it's delightful because they're sort of pleased to see me because they think I'm Doctor Who.
To be the Doctor, I mean, the attention you must get must be enormous.
Yeah, but it's very nice. I mean, it's a kind of, it's a really unique position to be in. There are only 12 people who've played this role, and you become the focus of the affection for the role, and you stand on the shoulders of everybody else who ever played it, and they've done all the work really. So I just turn up and kind of, look alarmed or be excited and blow up a Dalek here and there, and it is it's a change in your life.
It must be quite intrusive as well, though, because you're so distinctive, and you must get people coming up to you the whole time.
Funny looking?
No, I don't mean that at all. I just mean very distinctive. But you must get people coming up to you the whole time.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was a
people
report.
People are very nice, actually. I think it's something about the character. They don't. The Doctor is a good thing in the world, and I think people feel a deep affection for whatever Doctor it was they grew up with, and so you sort of are kind of like the Wizard of Oz or something, and that's what happens. Sometimes I walk into a room and there'll be some kids there, and they'll gasp. That's a wonderful feeling, Can you imagine how lovely that is to have such a affection pointed in your direction? And they don't ask very much of you. They just like to see you and for you to say hello to them and smile at them, and that's on a good day.
There was a report I saw, last year that said you literally had to move house because you had people on your doorstep. Is that true?
Well, I lived next to the park, and the ice cream van used to park right outside my house, and so there used to be a huge queue of kids there, and it was just... we moved just before my Doctor Who's came out, but I knew it wasn't going to be a great place to be. I would be very exposed in that way. I mean, my kind of attitude about it is that I didn't want it to change my life much, but it does. But in as much as my private life goes, it remains much the same. But when I go out into the world, I can't, I don't want to escape the idea that I'm Doctor Who. And it's finite, I won't be Doctor Who forever, so there will be a day when people don't come and say hello.
When's that going to be then?
Oh, not for a long time, I hope.
You hope. Peter Capaldi, thank you.